1980, 1990, and 2000, because this is when the boomers were in their 30s, depending on when they were born, compared to us millennials today. Housing prices, 48K, 76K, 105,000. Interest rates, 13 point.
Whoa, the average house in the 1980s was 48,000? That sounds low to me. Well, I guess it depends on the house and where you live at, I guess, in 1980. I mean, I grew up in Arizona, and at the time in the 80s, housing affordability was great in Arizona. My parents bought a house there, but it was more, I remember them telling me it was just over 100,000. Their house is not special, it's just your typical 3-bed, 2-bath. But let me look at this and I'll fact check them later.
0.7, 10%, 8%. Principal and interest on those with a 20% down payment, 446, 534, 616. Average rent, 243, 447, and 602. Median household income, 21,000, 30,000, 42,000. Why am I sharing all this? Because collectively, no matter when you were born, boomers, whether you were born in the 40s, 50s, or 60s, you were spending on average about 18% of your income on rent and or housing. Just 18%. And I will say in the 1980s, the older boomers in 1980, with those high interest rates, you were spending about 25% of your income, so you felt a little pressure. But if you didn't want to buy a home, you could rent for just 14% of your income. Now let's fast forward to today. The millennials in their 30s, 2023, the average home is 436, the average rent is 2,000, interest rates are 7.5%, a median household is $81,000. So to own a house, which you couldn't even qualify for this house, by the way, but it'd be 36% of a family's income. And if they were forced to rent, it's 29%.
29%, okay. Let me try to fact check some of this. And I won't go to just one article and say that's all I need. I need to check average cost for a house in 1980. Jesus Christ, who already knows what I was going to look up. Okay, it says 47,000. Damn, he was about, wow, he was okay. This is from CNBC. Let me see here. Oh goodness, CNBC. You're giving me this crap. Stop it. Continue without supporting. There we go. You have to like refresh it a few times. All right. 1980s, 47,000. What do you say? 48. He rounded up. Okay, he was about there. Yeah. 90s, 79,000. He was a 76. So just 3K under. Still pretty accurate. 2000s, 119,000. He has 105, so he was about 14,000 off. Not terrible, right? So he's kind of hit the mark for that, but that was CNBC. Let's see who else has something. HUDuser.gov, it's a government website, okay. Average, instead of medium, okay, I mean, for this channel, I could say medium and average. So 1980, the median was 64,600. You guys can't really see that, huh? Let me zoom in. There we go. That's probably better, huh? Okay. Median is 64,600, while the average is 76,400 for the 80s. It's 80s, right? Because 76,000, that's what he has for 90s. Okay. The 90s medium in the U.S. is 122,900. While the average is 149,800. He put down 90s for 76,000 for average house, right? Okay, that's why I was like, wait. My parents paid a lot more than that. And at the time, Arizona was not an expensive place to live at. It is now, unfortunately, right? A lot of Californians moved in. 2000s, median, 169,000. Average, 207,000. So like, oh, way up by thousands here. Okay. Interest rates, I know they were much higher then. I'm probably not going to fact check that. Actually, let me check one more article, right? Because I think it's always best to check multiple sources. You can't just one and done it. Let's see. What an average home costs in the year you were born. Interesting, by Yahoo Finance. Let's see what they say. Okay, so Yahoo Finance says 1980, it was 64,000. Right, still almost 20,000 higher than what he had here for 1980. what was I looking at next? 90, okay. 1990, 122,000. Wow, it's just way off. Okay. And 2000s, 169,000. Again, still way off. Okay, this is from Yahoo. So that was 3 sources. One of them was most accurate. I'm thinking he probably got it mostly in that area, or whomever wrote that. Let's look at another one. Let's see here. Okay, I've seen this one too. Or this type of graph, right? By Fred, is it? So I've seen a lot of YouTubers when I use this graph. So let's see. This is average sales price for houses sold for the United States. So 1980 was about 77,000. He had 48,000. 150 for 1990, he has 76,000, and for 2000s, this is over 200,000. I mean, okay, he put 100. He's way off on this one. 2023, he has 436. 2023, I mean, this says 500,000. He's way off. This is bad, right? This is bad. In a way, I wish he was like, I would, 436. I mean, that looks, although that's high, but it's actually higher according to this source. So let me check another one. Federal Reserve economic data. That sounds. Oh yeah, that is legit. A lot of people use that one. Let's see. This is from the census.gov. All right, so this is medium and average sales prices of new homes sold in the United States. I'm in the 60s, so I need to go to the 70s. Let's just say January 1980. So the median was 62,000, average was 72,400. I mean, it was much more expensive. It wasn't as cheap as he put here. I believe this shares the same data as another website I just went through, right? Let's see. Let's go with January 1990. So median 125, average 151 for the 90s. He still has 76,000, way off. And January 2000. So median 163, 500, and 200,300. I mean, still way off. He has 100. Jeez. I'm still looking at more. Let me check one more. It's always good. I believe in a rule of 5. So five articles. Hopefully they're fairly legit to see how legit the information you just absorbed. Because sometimes you get so excited about something you want to believe it, but then it turns out to be, oh, okay, it's crap. Okay, so this here is U.S. home prices in 1980 adjusted for inflation. Okay, interesting. I'll go with this. So 1980, average sale price is 76,000 for 1980. Okay. I'm sorry, I think some of these that he might have just saw here were probably not adjusted for inflation, right? Because a dollar in 1980 had much more buying power than a dollar is today. That might be something, because he doesn't reference his sources at all anywhere, right? And he doesn't reference adjusted for inflation. I feel like this information is going to be about the same that I just saw recently, right? Yeah, this looks the same. All right, here's Wikipedia. So take this one with a grain of salt about median average sale prices for new homes sold in the U.S. And they have it from 63. So let's just scroll down to the 80s. Oops, overshot it by a little bit. January 1980, 62,000, 72,000, right? That sounds very familiar from the other agencies I saw, right? So let's look at the 90s. 125,000 and 151,700. That sounds very familiar. I mean, he's way off here. Okay. I mean, that's at least 5 sources. It's important to check minimum 5 different sources. A lot of the sources I just saw agreed, but there were adjusted for inflation. So his data, his information might not be adjusted for inflation, probably to have a more impact. I credit him for showing that, hey, millennial situations is much more difficult for home affordability compared to boomers. I tend to agree with him in that area. Don't get me wrong. I just wanted to fact check and make sure if this is all correct. And another big thing I want to see is household income. Let me fact check that one because I feel like that's important. So let's average household income in 1980. The median 1988 family income was 21,000. So where is that? So that's correct according to census.gov, right? This is one of them that conflicted the average home price that he had listed. Does it list by year or do I have to go through multiple years? Okay. That's fine. Okay, so one source agrees with him here. Let's see. What does multiple have here? So let's go with what they have here for 1980. 21,000. Yes, he has. Where is it? 21,000. Let's go back. Let's go back. That had multiples on there. So that's 80. And then 90. 37,000 for the 90s. He had 30,000. Oh wow, he undershot that one by a lot. Okay. And 2000's 57,000. 42,000. So this says people were richer compared to what he had here. What did they say about 2023? Okay, latest is December 2022. Says household income was 106,000. Interesting. Average U.S. average household income by year. Okay, according to this multiple.com, I don't know who they are very well, so I'm going to check other sites. To me, that sounds a little outlandish. I'm like, okay. Okay, Statista.com. So, only necessary. Median household income in the United States from 1970 to 2014. So does it have anything here, or does it just want me to buy crap, huh? Probably just wants me to buy crap. Actually, here we go. Oh, interesting. There's lower income class, middle income class, and upper income class. Let's go with the middle income class, 61,000 for 1980. You know, he had here 21,000 for 1980. So, okay, let's lower income. Jeez, the pop-ups. Lower income class, 21,000. Okay, I get that. 1990, lower income class was 23. Wow, lower income does not get a break, huh? At all. I mean, the upper income on this graph just keeps having a better life, while the middle income and the lower income just stay stagnant. Interesting. I mean, it agrees with them in the 1980, but then after that, it just says people are poor and poorer if you're middle class or lower income class. Holy crap. Okay. Okay, let's check another graph. Let's check something somewhere else. Federal Reserve Bank, real medium household income in the United States. So this is median, not average, but median. I might as well just check this out. It doesn't go back to 1980. It goes back as far as 84, about 56,000. 1990, 61,000. 2000s, 67,000, right? And he had it here 42,000. Okay, so according to this, but this is median income. People looked richer, but let's go with 2023. All right, it has 2022, 74,000 for household income. He had 81,000, so it's almost there. If you take a median, it's not average, right? All right, let's go back to another. Okay. Did he say median or average income? Let me double check that again.
Median household income, 21.
Okay, he did say median household income, so okay, that's good. Let me check one more because I just noticed I've been repeating median, not average. Okay, this is from Montgomery Planning. Median household income estimates since the 69. So let's see what the 80s were. 32,000, right? He had 21. Go back.
1,000, 30,000, 42,000.
Okay. 90s, 56,000. Okay, off. This one says 75. Okay, according to this one, people were way richer back then. Because I remember as a, in high school, people talked about how, like, the gold number of, like, starting off was $40,000 a year was, like, golden. So I'm leaning to agree with them, but it's still more anecdotal. Some of the, let me check one more, because I feel like, I'm trying not to be so biased, because I want to agree with them, right? Okay, let's see. Household incomes, okay, according to this graph, it's just above the 50,000 and slowly growing up to about his, I'd say following this trajectory, it goes up to his 81K that he mentioned. But as low as 21,000, I mean, oof, that's kind of low. That's on the low end. So I had to take, I mean, I like following this guy. This is Freddie Smith, is it? Yeah. Apparently he's big on TikTok. I don't follow TikTok at all. I hate TikTok. It's bad enough that my own government follows me and tracks all my information, data, and everything. Last thing I need is China to do the same thing. But that's not what this video is about. It's about, okay, he's put out some information out there, some data, right? Probably very cherry picked. And it's supposed to have a shock value to it, right? To make you go, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I don't disagree about the big picture that it's much harder for millennials and Gen Z coming up to get a house. There's no doubt about that. Inflation screwed us. Inflation is making it hard for everyone. People who bought their houses, just like 5 years ago and back with lower interest rates, or if they refinanced during the pandemic, they're sitting very well. So they're coasting. Their biggest problem is, they can't move, right? Millennials and Gen Zs, their problem is I can't even get in a house. I don't make enough. My job doesn't pay me enough. And most, a lot of them who are looking for a house, they have a bachelor's, master's degree. Some of them have doctorates and they can't even do it. And that drives me crazy. I'm not saying all millennials are bad. It's going to be rough. I know boomers and other people are going to put their own opinion, right? Like, I did it, blah, 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 right? People's one opinion outweighs the whole situation that's going on in society, right? Let me read some of these comments. Boomers in the 30s versus millennials today. This person said, he, 1993, whatever that means, my house was 200,000, not 105,000. These numbers are skewed. Okay, what type of house do you have, though? Is it like a super nice house? Because the 90s, at least in Arizona, but I mean, it depends. Where did you get this house too? Did you get it in Hawaii? Did you get it in California, where it's much more expensive? Because I know 200,000 in Arizona in the 90s, you could have got a really nice house, a huge house with that. So why do millennials wait to buy now? The typical "I'll wait till the market crashes" excuse. You know what? That is a problem. That is another thing. There's so many crash bow videos out there that keep saying there's going to be a market crash, there's going to be a market crash, there's going to be a market crash. And then millennials and Gen Zs are like, I'll just hold off until prices go down. Guess what? Prices keep going up. And not just prices, interest is going up. And let's just say you can only afford a $300,000 house, and then prices keep going up to, according to this guy, $136,000. Okay, let's say it crashes, and it only goes down as low as $350,000. And then housing prices keep going back up. What do you do then, right? You waited this entire time. You wasted all your money in rent, not getting in equity. So, what did you do then? Like, what did you expect? I mean, is that what you predicted? I hate to say it, but like, I looked at it as like, you're better off just getting in, get some equity, start becoming a homeowner. Do everything you can to get in a house. Now, don't get in a house and you're house poor. Just figure out a method of like how you can afford a house that is about 33% of your take home, right? That it goes into housing. For everyone watching this saying, F you, I don't make that. I get it. It's one of those, we have a harder time having to figure this out, but it's not impossible. Is it harder than the boomers and whatever? We can say that. We can make that argument. I get it. Is it going to require a second job? Side hustle? Something else? A better job? Moving? Yes. It sucks. And, you know, if you live in an expensive city, it's probably not going to happen, right? I had to do it. I had to move away from a very expensive city. I lived in Hawaii, and an average house there was $1 million. I was like, dude, as much as I love Hawaii, I cannot become a homeowner here. Moved back to Arizona, not just in Arizona, but like out in the middle, almost in the middle of nowhere, like almost an hour away from downtown Phoenix. You know, out in Pinal County, housing was much more affordable compared to Maricopa County. That's where I had to get a house. I was like, I have to, in order for me to afford this, I have to get a house there, but what are the jobs? I had to really find a remote working job. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, remote work, this and that. Guess what? The remote work gave me the opportunity to become a homeowner. If I was, most jobs I know are in the city, but I can't afford those houses that are close by unless I want to make a 2-hour commute each, my entire commute. For some people, it's 2 hours each way. And that's just a lot of extra money on car maintenance, gas. Like, it's just so expensive. It's just not happening for a lot of people, and they just don't want to rent, so they're closer to work, to the place that drives them crazy. I just went on a tangent there, so let me read some more comments here. Stop whining and work harder. Your generation is weak and sucks almighty. It was kind of like half of my rant in a way. Millennials are like Biden and now complaining about Biden economics. I'm not going to get involved in politics. If you want to know what my political stance is, I hate both Republicans and Democrats. I think they're all crooks. Let's see. You completely skipped over 2010s to push an agenda. I think he was making a comparison between boomers and millennials. I think the people who were buying houses in 10s and 20s were the Gen Xers. Moral of the story, time to learn how to start living below your means. I mean, how much lower can you go? Really, right? I understand live below your means. I get it. You don't want to be house poor, right? But like, hey, are you talking about like I need to rent forever and just live off ramen noodles? Because there's people who work really hard and can't get a house. I remember boomers who had just blue collar jobs, average jobs. You know, they worked at a supermarket and they're able to become a homeowner. Now we have people who have master's and doctorate degrees, physicians. You know, they can't even afford a house right now. So it's a different situation that we're in right now. You've done this video so many times before. Yes, we get it. Housing is expensive as a whole, but not in certain parts. Hello, Midwest. Every individual must make choices. I agree with that. You know, I couldn't stay in an expensive Hawaii, so I had to move, look a place for better housing. If you want to be a homeowner, you probably will have to move. But the problem is you're going to have to find the job there that can afford that house, right? So you can't just get up and go. You have to find the job. Boomers are intentionally dishonest because they don't want to admit they grew up in the easiest time in human history. They'd rather shit on the generation they raised to laugh out loud. Or laughing my ass off, rather. Take that for what it is. Millennials spend too much time complaining about what the generations before them had instead of working with what they got. Okay, so the generations before us were able to afford houses, afford more, have bigger houses. Now, you know, they're pushing this whole thing about tiny homes, how great they are, and how affordable this and that. So it's just like, okay, you want us to live in smaller houses while older people richer than us have bigger houses. Did everything right, saved for years, great FICO score, finally have all my ducks in a row. Go to apply for a housing loan, can't compete with BlackRock and rental agencies paying cold hard cash. It's rigged. There is a boom in investors, right? Especially Wall Street investors buying up houses and then flipping them for rent, right? So that is another impact that we have to compete for. I get it. I'm going to stop there. I think this video is long enough as it is. So go ahead and like, subscribe, comment below. I really want to hear what you guys have to say and all that jazz. What I say, like, subscribe, yeah, all that. Take care.